Hey everybody, it is March the 3rd. You guys, I put up the video this morning about putting a roof on the shed, but gosh, I wanted to get to something today because I don't want to miss out on one of my favorite things to do. And let me show you what I'm doing. So, I just drilled a hole in the tree, and since I don't have any spiles at the moment, I just made a quick tap with just a little piece of copper. I can see it's dripping in the back, so I have to drive it in just one more hit with the hammer. I just used a drill bit, kind of made the drill bit's a little smaller than that 3/8 of an inch copper, and then I just kind of rounded it out at the end so it would go in and seal, because you don't want it to, typically a spile is kind of cone shaped, so when you drive it in it seals itself. But since I don't have a proper spile, I'm going to use this copper, but you can see I'm already getting sap. I wasn't sure how well it was going to run today because the sun's not out real heavy, but it's clearly running. So this is it, guys. This is the beginning of maple syrup right there. I'm probably not going to make a lot of maple syrup, or maple sugar is what we call it up north, but I am going to do enough to just to have a taste, maybe one good feed worth. So just enough to maybe put it out there. Maybe you guys can make some, and listen, it doesn't take much. One tree will give you enough to taste. So I'm going to tap 3. I'm going to put in 3 taps. Probably 2 here. Oh, and yeah, here's another thing. When you're doing this, you want a tree that's 8 to 12 inches around. Okay, so an 8 to 12 inch tree produces enough sap. Anything, and bigger's fine too, but I find the bigger the tree, the less sweet the sap. I don't know if that's true or if it's just something I think. But this tree, so I'm probably going to put one here. Hey, I already did. And then I'm going to put one on the other side also. And then that tree right there is going to get one as well. Now, if I like the taste of this sap, I'm probably going to add, as a matter of fact, I'm going to taste some sap right now. I'm going to add a few more spiles. So here we go. I'm going to taste some. And that's actually, I've seen it drip a lot. That's a pretty good drip, but I've seen it drip much, much faster up north. So I'm getting a little bit in there, that's maybe a teaspoon. It's dripping pretty good. Let me tell you, if the sun was out, it would be like almost running. It would be like having your faucet on in the house, just barely on. That's a pretty good drip though. Here we go. I'm going to taste this. Okay. Yeah, it tastes like maple water, which is really all it is, maple flavored water. There is sand in it. There's always a little, what we always call sugar sand. It's just the tree, as it moves nutrients up the cambium layer, it brings soil with it. It's just part of the deal. So when you're done and you have all your sap, you actually filter your sap. You filter it twice actually. Filter it once when it goes into the cook, and then once coming out of the cook. And then I know people who actually filter it between the cook, excuse me, between the cook, and then they filter it into the jar. So that takes a long time because it's pretty thick by then. But anyway, I'll show you all that later. Here we go. Okay, so I just used my new drill, and like I say, I'm not putting much of a hole in there, but look at that, it's already running like crazy. You can see it just running down the side there. This one's gonna actually run better than the last one. So pretty impressed with the run today. What I'm not impressed with is the fact that all these maple trees have a blue spot on them, and I do not know what that means. I'll have to ask my dad why there's a blue spot on all these trees. Okay, that's just a 3-inch piece of tubing. Like I said, I drilled the hole. It's small. The bit is a little smaller, so put it in the hole. A couple little whacks. Give it a second to peel out of there. It's gonna In a minute, it'll start just running. Well, maybe this one's going to come out in spurts. The reason it's coming out in spurts is actually that it's building a small head of sap at the back, and I might not have drilled the hole big enough. But anyway, so what happens is when it builds up enough pressure in there, then it just spews out. So kind of a disappointing. Maybe I'll give it a little juice in there. There we go. Gosh, it's running so much actually that I think it was like a vapor lock. Yeah, I think that's exactly what it was, like a vapor lock. So that's a pretty good runner there. All right, and so what I'm going to do is, oh, here's another thing I didn't tell you. I was going to do that second tree there, the other fork of that tree, but I don't like to tap a tree that's got a lot of knots. I like a nice straight, nice straight trunk. This one was kind of iffy. And you can see it's not dripping nearly as well as that other one. And this one is just a tangle of knots. But again, this is all stuff that old timers up in the UP taught me. It could just be all who knows what. I'm going to throw a quick tap in on that other trunk, and I'm going to get some buckets set up. Here we go. Okay, just in the past few minutes since I put these taps in, the sun has come out a bit, and I'm expecting to see some pretty good flow here. It's flowing about the same. Drip, drip, drip. You'll be amazed how fast that'll fill a 1 gallon bucket. Speaking of which, so here I've got 3 1 gallon ice cream buckets, compliments of my parents, who I don't know why. I mean, I know why they keep them. They keep them because they use them for hauling compost out to the compost pile. And I've got 3 coated sinkers there. That's all I had, so I didn't have any common nails. Usually I wouldn't like to use a coated sinker, but whatever. And unfortunately, I don't have a regular spile like I've already told you, and I don't trust hooking my wire directly up to this copper tube. So I'm just going to put a little nail up above that, and then I'm going to wire the bucket in below the tube, and voila, we will have a sap collection unit. So it's got a pretty nice pile of sap on the ground already. It's making a nice puddle, and it's still leaking up there. I don't like that. I wish it wasn't leaking, but what are you gonna do? So okay, let me I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Yeah, there's no way I can, oops, sorry. There's no way I can do this with 2 hands because I have no way to hold the camera. I would recommend though, and I only put the nail in just enough to hold a gallon of sap. I don't like, you can see the sap's running out of the nail hole. But what I would recommend doing is wrapping your wire around your nail once, because it's windy, and maybe you can hear the wind, but you want to be able to hold on to that bucket. You don't want the bucket to just flop off of there. So I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so there's it's just wrapped around one time, just enough so that if the wind does want to blow that bucket around, it can't fly off of there. Then I'm just going to poke a couple holes in these buckets. Buckets, they'll flex quite a bit, but I like to just poke a hole. You can take the handles off, but I'm just going to continue to use the handles also. So basically I'm just going to poke a hole right there and on the other side, and that's what I'm going to wire in. I like to wire mine pretty close, so that's, in the end, it'll probably look a lot like that. Oops, I'm not even on there, I'm sorry. That's what it's going to look like in the end. I'll show you here in a second though. It's definitely pretty low tech, but it definitely works. And later this afternoon that'll be full, Like I said, it doesn't take very long to fill up, believe it or not. And then I'll dump that into a 5-gallon bucket, and then I'll haul that 5-gallon bucket and I will put it into, I've got a 35-gallon food grade barrel that I'll dump all my sap into, and then when it's full I'll start boiling. So, alright, I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Maybe you learned a little bit. Maybe you can tell me some good tips, because like I said, I haven't done this in probably a decade, but it's like riding a bicycle. Once you fall off, it hurts. Oh wait, no, that's not how it goes. Yeah, I don't even know how it goes. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for being here.